right here.
Oh, yeah.
All right, awesome. And are you still down with me recording and live streaming?
Yeah, live streaming.
You're so good. I really appreciate you.
Yeah, no problem.
You just rolling with the flow, dude.
Yeah.
Make sure we're good to go. Yeah. So, how long has it been since we last talked?
What has it been, like a week and a half or something like that?
Yeah. So, I jotted down some notes after our talk. And without appearing too weird, would you mind if I just high level went over them?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I did this because I want to. I really want to understand what you believe.
Yeah.
And if I'm off, if I'm mistaken, then I want to know about it.
Yeah.
But I also think, in the process of repeating it back, it might make more sense. Not make more sense, but it might jog more content, give you more things to add to it so that I can better understand even more.
Yeah.
Is that decent?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do it.
All right. So you're with Navigators.
Yeah.
And you, in the past, you've brought people that you would dub agnostics.
Yep.
I don't know how you're meeting them, but you would bring them to events here at the school with the SSA, the Secular Student Alliance. They did a religious panel, and you'd bring them to that. And one of the reasons why you do that is because you feel that you're solid in your position, right? And if it's true, then my position should be able to hold up to any scrutiny, even that somebody that might be doubting.
Yeah.
Right?
And just gives people that greater kind of lens of what else is out there, other belief systems, what it looks like, what they...
Something to contrast?
Yeah, kind of contrast.
Oh, okay.
Here's some other thoughts, too.
That's cool. That's cool. All right. And you do believe Christianity is the truth. It's the most fulfilling. You've used that word a couple times the last time we talked. And you want people to grow in Christianity because you feel that Christianity is the most fulfilling. Out of all the options that are out there, then Christianity is the best. You're 100% sure that your God exists. And I don't know if you remember the scale. I'll repeat it here.
Yeah.
The scale was about confidence and doubt. 100% absolutely confident, no doubt. 0% no doubt, or no confidence, all doubt. And you put yourself at 100. Now you said that you couldn't prove that your God exists. There's no evidence for the God. But the fulfillment that you get...
I said there's no fact. There's no way to absolutely prove, but there is evidences, but no way to absolutely prove the existence.
Okay.
Not that there's zero evidence, but there is, but there's not enough to make a 100% concrete fact of the existence.
Okay.
There's enough to place trust in, but not zero. There's no evidence that this exists,
Okay, let me just read this next part, and maybe this will clarify that point.
Gotcha.
The fulfillment that you get and the evidence that you see rests on a foundation of faith. And that's what brings you to the 100% certainty that Jesus exists. Is that correct?
100% faith in God that brings Jesus? I think it was the other way around.
Okay.
100% faith in what Jesus said he was, that he was God, that God exists.
Okay. Last time we talked, we spent a lot of time talking about faith. What is the definition of it? How do you use it? And... Why did this guy pass? I wish I could do that. Yeah. I'm so jealous. I break my neck. Just getting on the freaking thing, I know I'd break my neck.
Yeah, I'm pretty uncoordinated as well.
Okay. We did talk a lot about faith, and you'd use the Hebrews 11:1, which is the substance of things hoped for, the assurance of things not seen. And it was my understanding that you said something or you felt that you needed to use faith as a way of coming to a truth. That was the foundation that you would build all the fulfillment that you get and the evidence that you see. It's all resting on that foundation of faith.
Maybe there's other factors, but I think that's the main one. You do use reason and logic, the way I kind of logic in God's existence, what Jesus said. You use those things, but ultimately, like I said, they can't be the foundational elements. Faith is the foundational elements, with other things supporting it. It's not by, faith alone. There's other things that kind of factor into that.
Okay. We talked about that if you can no longer use faith to bridge that gap, that your confidence in the existence of Jesus would drop significantly. If you couldn't use faith, or if you determined that faith was unreliable. Are you still on board with everything that I've covered here?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so. Yeah.
And I don't mean to bore you with this, but again, I think it's important so that because I think the questions that I want to ask you will vary if my understanding of where you're at is off.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I need. Is like I need to know the journey. You know.
Yeah.
What are we working towards?
Right.
That's what was like confusing me initially. I was like, okay, what is the purpose of these questions? You know?
Sure. So
let's get to the meat. You know.
Yes. And you had emailed me and said, hey, can we meet again? And I've got all these questions for you as an atheist. And I said, well, let's meet, and I'll address any question you have. While this started off as like an interview, I want it to be a friendly conversation, not a debate.
I didn't either. Like that's what I wanted at this point. It's like, hey, you got to hear so much about me. There's probably other questions you wanted to have, but yeah, that's where I was at with it. It's like, if we were to meet again, I just wanted to know where you're at, you know?
Yes.
And what you're desiring. What are you desiring at these interviews? Where are you at in the process? You know?
Absolutely.
What convictions have you developed?
I'll cover all of that. Just if I could just get through two more things here.
Yeah, let's do it.
And then after we get caught up, then you ask me any question you want, and then we can maybe keep examining this.
Okay.
When we ended the talk, the first talk about a week and a half ago, it was on what is the corrective measure that you have at your disposal to test, to see if faith is as reliable as you think that it is. And you thought about it, you said, well, that's one of those things, I'm a marinator, I really like to think about it.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, cool. And one of the things you proposed is, if I could, you said, it was really good, you said, if I could see a flaw in God's character, then maybe that would be something that would cause me to doubt. And then I said, well, can you think about what Anthony's next question would be? So whenever you come up with an answer, if you could say, oh, what would Anthony ask next? And what would Anthony ask next to that? That'd be cool. So that's where we kind of left it off, where we talked about that. That's like a 20-30 minute talk, the first time we talked. And, well, how much time do you have now?
Oh, no, yeah, I got something at 2, but yeah, I got a one that's going to go off like 150, kind of give me a time range.
Perfect.
Yeah,
okay, good.
Go too long.
Yeah, that's
some of these conversations, they can just take off and you're like, oh, it's been an hour? What? You know?
Yes, sir, exactly.
So making sure, like, for me, that's easy to happen, so
exactly.
Don't want that to happen.
So that's kind of where we're at, and we left the talk based on kind of hanging on the reliability of faith, because faith was such a big component, that foundation. And
the last question we had landed on is like, you're asking me what things would I need to see for, I guess, disbelief, same thing, faith.
Yes, sir. Yeah, so like, if faith is reliable, and you gave a couple examples of what you think, how you would use faith in a daily life, but then it really sounded like you weren't really using faith, that it seemed to be unique for the God belief. But yes, when we left off, it was more about what would you have to see to realize that faith wasn't reliable. And I think that's where we probably left it off.
Okay, and as I've been marinated, like even as I hear it again, I'd say like just actions not equating with the results that supposedly faith gives. That's what I'd say, is like you test faith by action. I trust this, therefore I'm going to do things a certain way. So if I went the other way with it and promoted an action, did not get the desired result that I expected to have by having the faith, then I would begin to question the source of the faith.
Okay. What would be a really good example of a time that you could, how could we like legitimately test the reliability of faith like within this next week?
Yeah. But it comes down to like what is the, that's what gets me, like what is the importance of wanting to test faith?
Okay.
Yeah, why do we want it as a reliable, that's my big question, is like,
okay.
Because I don't think I have that for you to be able to test that.
Are you of the position now that faith is reliable? Let's just start with that.
Yeah, I just don't know why we need that. Why we need that kind of detail with faith. Like, why we need that. Why does faith need to be reliable? Like, just like faith as a measure. I guess that's what's always confused me. That you're like, why are we even asking about faith in general? Like, as a reliable measure. Because again, it's like, what other measures? Like, is it like the other measures could be reason and logic besides faith?
That's a good question.
I need comparisons to like testing this opposed to what else could we test.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's say somebody makes a claim. I was thinking about this on the way over here. Mm-hmm. Like, my wife makes a claim that, honey, I need you to go to the grocery store. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, come on. Last thing I want to do is go there. She said, no, it's not a big deal. there's only 10 items on the list and it's all meat. Okay, that's the claim. Now, I could use faith and just believe that it's true, or I can possibly verify it by maybe looking at the list.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay, yeah.
And so faith is, a lot of people use faith to be certain that what they're believing in is true. They use it as a way to coming to know something is true.
It's like that.
I could use faith and believe that, be assured, I'm hoping that it's true. It's the assurance of things that I'm hoping for. And hope that when I go to the store and open up the little letter, that's the little piece of paper, that there's 10 items on the list and it's all meat.
Yeah.
Okay, I could use faith.
So it comes down to, like, I think I said it like last time too, is like faith itself can be very unreliable because it's all dependent on the source. I think that's it's key, is that faith is like, it's all dependent on what are you placing your faith in. So that's what I'd say.
Okay, so
that's what's tough for me to say, even say, like, I feel that's, you know, what it does, but even just like looking at faith specifically, I don't know what more we can kind of like get out of measuring faith.
it sounds like what you're saying is because I'm using faith to conclude that Jesus exists, it's a superior method for coming to a truth. Is that what you're saying? Because the thing that I'm believing in is so important, it makes faith reliable?
I would say the fact that if he is what he says he is, if he really is this God says, like, that being the source, like, it's the belief in that's what makes the faith reliable, is that the source of it is reliable. I think, like, you can have faith in the most ridiculous things. So I'd say is like, with that, faith can be a very unreliable measure because you're not testing things. You're just, well, I guess it can be in the sense, like, if you trust in something and it doesn't produce the results you've seen, then it would show itself not to be reliable in a sense. But
okay,
that's what I keep wanting to, like, making my conclusions to do, is just like say faith has to have it's all about the source. So
okay,
again, I'm trying to process through faith
here,
as a reliable.
let me give you another example.
Yeah.
I talk to a lot of people on this campus. They're not all Christians.
Yeah.
I talk to a bunch of Muslims, a lot of Hindus, and even a pagan here or there. And when I start asking the questions, Austin, usually they say, I use faith. I have the assurance and I hope that it's true, and it's really important to me, and I know Allah is there. I know Vishnu is the one true God. I know there's a pagan goddess protecting me, and it almost always comes down to faith. Now that discovery doesn't seem to jive with what I'm hearing from you, because you're using faith and coming to a completely different God than they are. With that being said, how reliable is faith if the end result can vary from person to person to person? If faith was reliable, shouldn't anyone that uses it get to your God?
But that's the thing, is like, faith is so subjective because it can be a multitude of things, though. That would make sense that it would be that. So I guess I see what you're saying. Like, if there was this reliable system in which to believe, it would funnel into the correct pathway. But now you're giving the example, faith is giving these different confidences. So based on that, like, I guess you could say, like, faith, like I said, it can be unreliable in fact. I don't like that word, like, reliable. I guess it can just be,
what would be a better
varying.
word?
Faith can be varying in the sources, but I guess you can say it is unreliable about where faith will lead you, you know?
Sorry.
So yeah, that's why I would say that. It's like, yeah, it can have those factors to it.
So if the path of faith can vary, let's go with vary.
Yeah, vary.
Right?
Yeah.
And lead to destination A, B, C, D, E, F, G, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Is faith as a method for coming to a truth the best way?
Because coming to a truth. Again, I think there's better ways if we're trying to come to a truth, yeah, we're going to come to it through looking at evidences and reasons. So I'm definitely not trying to mention, like, oh yeah, you should just believe it by faith. Yeah, I'm definitely like, yeah, we need to have a reasoned faith, and that's what I would want for people. That's what I would, when I meet with agnostics and atheists, or agnostic atheists. It's just like, I just see hunger. It's like, do you want to learn more? You know, do you want to learn about other belief systems? Because that's what it's going to take.
Okay.
You can't just like, oh, believe. You know, it's not going to happen that way. It's going to be a wrestling match. It's going to be a struggle. That's what you see all throughout the Bible is these characters just wrestling with this relationship with God, these tough situations, and they're wrestling with His goodness and is He in control? Is He here? That's constantly what happens in this faith. It's constantly being tested. You know, so and they're bringing out certain elements to test it. So yeah, so I'd want to come to that conclusion. Like, yeah, there's other means you have to go to find out what is truth. Because the hopes is like through these methods you would have a confidence. That's what I'd say, like with your faith, a confidence in believing this is true. But the means by going, I say like faith is the end result of reason, logic, and evidence that you've been researching.
Oh, okay. Faith is the end result.
Yes.
Because last we talked, it seemed like what you were saying is faith is that foundation on which you build your fulfillment and the evidence that. In fact, I thought you even said without faith, that you need faith. You need faith in order to conclude that the God exists. Are you saying that that's no longer the case?
Yeah, that's what I would say is like once you get to that end result, it becomes your foundation. Like it's like I've come to terms that I'm at like this crossroads based on my research, and now I'm going to build this as my foundation, and this be my belief system.
Okay.
So I would say is like, what I'm trying to get the point is like, I'm not going to just like, I believe this, you know? It's just like, no, I'm going to think this through, I'm going to research, I'm going to weigh the logic, the evidence, and see where that takes me. Like, what remains supreme? And then making a commitment, and I would say the commitment is faith, and that is your foundation for your belief, that you've placed your confidence and your belief in this system of thought, in this worldview.
So I know that you mentioned that you will often befriend people that are seeking where they best fit.
Yeah.
And you'll take them to atheist events and Hindu, whatever, speakers.
Yeah.
If those people came to you, Austin, and said, Austin, you know, I really want to believe what you believe, would you advise them to seek evidence for the belief or go off of faith alone?
Oh yeah, evidence, definitely.
Okay.
Like go out and seek the evidence. That's what I was saying earlier, is like, not that there's zero evidence for God, there's just not a complete evidence. You cannot prove God. It's not a debate to just like, because I'm going to prove that God exists. That's not my debate at all. That is not an aim. I can't do that. I can't give 100% empirical evidence that someone is seeking. I can't provide that. I can give some, and there's some against it, but that's what I'm saying, weigh the evidence. I'd say seek evidence, yes. Think logically, use reason, look at history, see what this has done, see what other things are doing.
Okay. So I guess along the same lines then, I guess I'd like to kind of get an idea now of what you would point to say, this is the strongest piece of evidence that I have that Jesus exists, and it's not faith. What would that be? Do you have something on the top of your head?
The strongest evidence I have for Jesus is the empty tomb with His resurrection. I feel it. I mean, even the early biblical authors, that it says it rises and falls on was that tomb actually empty, and what things did actually happen. Can we say of how this happened? You know, why was that tomb empty? You know, but definitely that is the biggest one.
Okay. So along the same lines of us talking about what you would accept to lower your confidence in faith, I'd kind of like to get in, and I don't mean to be like all negative Nancy here, but what would you have to see as an evidence-based person? What would you accept to change your mind, and that the tomb, what's being perceived as an empty tomb, really wasn't? Or, you know, I guess when it comes down to it, empty tomb means Jesus rose from the dead. So what would
stones rolled away, and like, where is He? You know, where's the body? You know.
So what would be the evidence then that you would accept, Austin, to say, okay, if I saw that or read that, then I wouldn't believe the idea of Jesus rising from the dead?
Yeah, I mean, just that what the common theme that got spread out is that the disciples stole the body. So, like, it either got stolen and they hid it, He's dead, Or another possible belief, he survived the crucifixion, and he got out himself, and he kind of limped along and snuck past the guard.
Those are great examples.
You know.
So, what would you accept as evidence to make you conclude that the body was stolen, or it was hid, or he survived it?
Yeah, just like, I guess if you saw the bones, like if you saw like the dead body, if you had witness accounts, I think would be a big thing. Testimonies of seeing like an injured person walking around.
If you stumbled across a story tomorrow that somebody discovered the bones of Jesus, would that lower you on the position of your belief? Would that affect your evidence?
Yeah, like I said, that's where, like, when you see something like that, it doesn't like shatter your faith. It's something, I'll look into this, and then I see what they have to say, their evidence is behind it, and I weigh it. I weigh it based on what I've placed my belief in, and I say, is this greater than my belief? Is this what truth is? Is this true? And then I go either way with it. You know, it's either an all in or all out. Or if it's something like, hey, I need a little bit more, I think that's where it can cause a little doubt. It's like, hey, I'm all into this, but I want to look into this further. There's something that I want to see more about this. Some evidence they brought up that I can't explain. There's something there.
So you not only listen to it, but you'd evaluate it.
Yeah.
And determine if it would impact your confidence in the accuracy of your belief that Jesus rose from the dead.
Yeah. So again, it comes to, through all the things I've researched and experienced, I've come to this conclusion. But again, it's not saying like we're done here. It's like the hopes is that I've placed my belief in this. You know?
Yeah.
So I'm saying, is there anything else that could sway me from this? You know?
Okay. So just to drill a little bit deeper, bear with me here. What would constitute to you sufficient evidence to conclude that those were indeed the bones of Jesus?
I don't know, I'd have to look at a historian's account and see what their measures would be. I would need to know framework. It's like, what is sufficient evidence in this case? Because I've seen other times we say, like, oh, if you get like the whole thing, if you got like 3 to 5 witnesses in a court that say the same thing, you got a pretty solid case. So I want to see that. I would weigh other experts in the field, subject matter experts, and say like, what's a good measure here for what these people are saying? Are they in the ballpark of us to weigh this?
Would 10 experts be enough?
That'd be pretty solid.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, 10 different experts saying a certain thing. I don't know. Again, I just have to know the field. I don't know if that's good or like. I need to know, is that good or not? I need just a broad kind of view of measures of what that would look like.
Awesome. Yeah. So I want to just recap, and then I'm going to answer any question that you have for me.
Yeah.
When we talked the first time, it seemed like faith was a huge part of the reason why you believed. That I distinctly remember us talking about it being the foundation, and the evidence and the fulfillment that you get is all resting on that foundation. And I remember saying, dude, I want to crawl under the foundation with a flashlight and shine and see what cracks are in there.
Yeah. I think there's just like I just wasn't understanding the questions, like, because again, I don't have much of the philosophic talks with the lingo and the way questions are asked.
Sure.
Again, that's why I need a lot of explanation.
And that's the beauty of us taking a little time in between.
Yeah.
So that at the very least, maybe you have a better way of expressing your belief, and I have a more clear idea of what you're expressing. Yeah. So that could be a good thing.
The other thing that is like, I didn't come from the origin of like coming forth, starting as a skeptic, to be able to like really measure things very just kind of accurately, precisely know, like, I was weighing against this and this is why I chose this, kind of born into it, so I didn't have the lingo or the mindset of what that looks like.
Okay.
But like I said, it's been a slow process. As I get around types that are that way, I see the way they think and how they measure truth and what it looks like. It helps me to apply the same measures to my belief.
That's great.
So I'm on the journey.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great. So maybe if I never see you again from this point on, if I can make just one suggestion, and that's this idea of the testability of something. Like the grocery list example, like if my wife says, I've got 10 items on there, they're all meat, I could probably use faith and go to the store and go start heading to that section of the grocery store. But not until I glance at the list would I know for sure. And further, let's say I'm now looking at the list and there's 10 items on there, I could probably tell you something that I would accept on the list to confirm to me that the list does not contain all items of meat.
Yeah.
Like if I see potatoes on there, then I know that I have a way of testing her claim that the list contains those things. So maybe as a takeaway, and it sounds like you're very open to new ideas and hearing from non-believers, and I think that's awesome. And that might be just a little nugget to pack away, so that the next time you think something is true, you might just ask yourself, well, what would I have to accept to change my mind? And the bones that you mentioned, where 10 experts in the field might actually do it for you.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, so let's switch gears.
Yeah.
I want to put away my board.
There you go. Okay.
And you can ask me anything you want.
Nice.
Within reason.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, of course. What's your criminal record? where are those skeletons at? Yeah, that's what curious. Like, where have you've talked to so many different people now. You got so many different experiences, worldviews. What convictions have you placed yourself on through like the lens of reason and measuring and testing things? Like, what convictions have you landed on? What are still some that you're developing? But how's the journey been for you? Have you reached some conclusions? Or are you still questioning?
My conclusion is that I will probably always be on the search for conclusions. I will never be 100% certain on anything. Yet you are 100% certain on the existence of your God. And that quite honestly baffles me when I hear somebody that's that certain. And it makes me really want to know about it. Like, what do you have to justify such a confidence in your belief? And I love having conversations with people to find out the different reasons.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's evidence, sometimes it's faith. It seemed like we started off faith and then we went to evidence, which is fine. Like that shows. I mean, that kind of gives me an idea that you've been thinking about it, and I think that's awesome. But I've sort of settled on a position of being a skeptic. I don't believe a God exists, but I don't know that one doesn't.
Exactly.
I'm an agnostic atheist.
Well, you have to be like, atheist, agnostic atheist.
Yes, sir.
You have to be that term.
Right.
You can't put 100% on it, but yeah.
Right. So I would put myself on that same chart, that same scale, I'm about a 2. Like a 2 or 3.
On like the doubt versus like faith scale or something?
Yes, sir. Like I have pretty much all doubt and no confidence that your God exists.
Yeah.
But I don't discriminate. Like I feel the same way about Allah. Or Vishnu or any other God like that.
Yeah. All across the board.
But I'm open to it.
Yeah, because you're still 2 or 3. It's not a 0. So there's still like there's a little bit there.
Well, I also think that if I was at a 0, then I would have a certain responsibility to demonstrate why there is no God. And I certainly can't do that.
Of like being the wielder of truth in a sense. Yeah, if you're at a 0, like you've reached the mountaintop.
I think once you say I know there's no God, then you have the responsibility to demonstrate how you can know that. What else did you want to ask me about?
Let's see. I guess just like, what's your worldview? Like, how do you live life? Like, so how do
I get fulfillment?
Yeah, basically, we'll get through, like, I like just going through the journey, like, how do you believe life started? It's the beginning, morality, purpose. It's like the Rabbi Zacharias 4-point question sphere.
I don't know anything about what you're talking about, the 4-point thing, but I'll look into. I know I've heard of Rabbi Zacharias.
It's like arrival. It's like origin, morality, purpose, and destination.
Okay,
4
so
questions
we can cruise through those.
Yeah. So what do you think about origin? Yeah.
The origin of life from non-life, we don't know the answer to that yet.
I was saying, like, where's your slant? Like, what do you feel?
Science seems to indicate, and I've actually was watching a fantastic video on abiogenesis that shows how chemicals can align in an environment that Earth was probably in several billion years ago that lent itself to the formation of cell structures. And that's probably how we got here. But I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
Well, would that happen like in a Big Bang kind of thing, or like
Big Bang is more the formation of the universe. And then billions of years later, then conditions on this planet seem to be right for the formation of cells and membranes and RNA and DNA, and then very, very basic organisms. So the formation of the universe, Big Bang, is different than the abiogenesis, and then that's even different than
evolution.
evolution.
I didn't say formation of life, but I guess I was more thinking like origin of universe and then kind of...
Origin, basically would be the same answer. We don't know how the origin was formed yet.
Yeah.
But...
Because again, all these are I don't knows, but it's just like, what are like personal theories, and what do you like...
Here's another theory, is like, I'm okay going through my life saying I don't know. I'd rather say I don't know than to make something up.
Yeah.
Or to go off of something based on faith. Because of the very reason that we talked about. The destination varies from person to person to person.
Yeah, it does.
So it would need to be an evidence path for me. And something that's testable, like that grocery list.
Yeah.
You want to get into morality?
Yeah. Absolutely.
I get my morals from pretty much the same place everyone else seems to be getting it from, and it's not a book. It seems to be from the way that we're raised, our environment, the social norms.
Yeah.
You know, I went to Hawaii last week, and I was getting into my rental car, and it occurred to me I should probably know whether I can text and drive here or not. Because in some states it's illegal, right? Or maybe in some cities. I don't know how that works.
Yeah.
And I asked, and I found out the rules. So... And I thought, well, heck, that's kind of a microcosm of what is going on with morality. Like, we get it from our environment. Was that sufficient enough, or do you want to?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was the other?
Cultural, yeah, and then so like purpose. Like, what do you believe like purpose for human life is?
The purpose for human
live
life?
a certain way, but like, what are we doing? You know?
Why are we here?
We formed. We're self-aware. You know. Why are we here? The why question.
I'm not the first one to throw this out, but asking why we're here might be a ridiculous question. Like, there may not even be a reason. Even asking the question might be somewhat weird, strange,
How so?
unnecessary. Because if we did arise from natural processes, there is really no meaning to it all.
Yeah.
But I feel that humans give their own life purpose.
Yeah.
We give our own lives meaning.
Because that's what I want to see is like, you feel, going back to just having you restate like your why behind the interviews and just constantly just, checking things out, questioning, being a skeptic. Like for you, what kind of pleasure do you get out of it? Like the why behind interviewing and going through these talks?
Okay. I think we touched on this last time, but
again, there's no response. You don't have the 0% faith and the disbelief, so you don't have, like you said,
why am I out here talking to strangers?
Yeah.
The reason I do it is because I think this campus, this state, this country, this world is going to be a better place if everyone believes things that are true. If everyone believed true things, well, let me ask you, do you think that the world would be a better place if everyone believed the true things?
I'd like to believe so. If they're believing in the truth, yeah.
That's where I'm at.
Yeah, but that's where we hit the disagreement, like what is true. I think that's what everyone hits, is like everyone's disagreeing on what is true.
And it seems like the reason why they disagree is because the methods they're using to arrive at their conclusions
goes back to
seem unreliable. And that goes back to our discussion about evidence and faith.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm out here. I mentioned before, like I want to identify what you believe and why, and then with you inspect. Need a tissue?
Oh no.
Inspect the foundation to see if it's reliable.
Yep.
And if it isn't, then maybe you can find a more reliable way of coming to your conclusion. But if you can't, if you're like, shoot, faith ain't reliable, and I really don't have very good evidence because I can't test it. I'm not saying that this is the case.
Yeah.
But if you do come to that conclusion and you abandon your belief for something that's more real, then I would be tickled if that was the case.
Yeah. Just curious, do you have any other jobs that you are engaged in right now, and what's the website and how's that going? The project,
I call it a hobby.
The hobby,
Some people say that's a weird word and you should use the word project instead, but I really prefer hobby.
It seems like it's an ongoing thing, so it does seem like a kind of a hobby.
It is, and I take great pleasure from it. And to answer your question, I'm a stay-at-home dad.
Oh, nice.
I've got 2 kids. They're at school. They should be home pretty soon. So I had a little time to come over here and chat with you and chat with believers to see what they believe and why.
Yeah, how many hours do you usually dedicate to interviewing people when you're on campus? Do you go to other campuses or just UTSA?
I've been at other campuses. I kind of like this one because it's close to my house.
Yeah.
What was your question again?
Just like what website is this associated with?
Yes, I have a YouTube channel.
YouTube channel.
Yeah, I have a YouTube channel.
Got a decent amount of people that watch your videos and check things out.
I've got a fairly decent subscriber base. I mean, nothing compared.
Any lively discussions on certain videos?
Tons.
Oh, really?
Tons. Yeah. I'm kind of smiling because there's a woman walking by who I had a wonderful conversation with about a year ago. So yeah, the conversations are awesome. Hey, there's another guy. I talked to him before.
Yeah.
So as you can see, when I have a talk with somebody, usually the talk is very positive.
Yeah.
How's it going, dude? Excuse me. I'm doing good, man. Good to see you.
Good.
Varnell, right?
Yes, sir.
Bontrell. Sorry.
Yeah.
Good to see you, man.
Good to see you.
I'm horrible with names. But no, we have nice, fun chats, and usually people end up being really grateful that we've had them. And I hope that we walk away from this talk kind of on the same vein.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
I was curious. Yeah. So it's just a YouTube channel, and you got that going on.
that's it. Yeah.
Any other hopes, like maybe making a documentary one day? Any future aspirations with what all this footage you're getting?
I don't think so. I think if I were to do like a documentary,
write a book or something.
maybe a book, but it would be quite different than what most people would think if they were to watch my videos and then think of a book. But no, I don't have any short-term plans for that, or even really long-term plans. I've kind of toyed with the idea of a book, but I don't really know for sure.
Yeah.
So
And before you were stay-at-home dad, like what were you doing previously before that?
I had an online business. Yeah, and
So you're used to the online realm a little bit. Yeah.
I was doing e-commerce stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. What do you do when you're not bringing agnostics to Secular Student Alliance events?
Yeah, I'm just.
I know you're part of
Navigators. So
Navigators.
just on staff with that ministry, so just growing in.
How long have you been on staff there?
So I'm on my 3rd year at this point.
Really?
Spent my 1st year over at Texas Tech, where I'm from in Lubbock.
Yeah.
And then I spent this 2nd year, 3rd year on staff, but 2nd year in San Antonio. So we're
Okay.
trying to pioneer this ministry, but again, how we do is just gauge interest.
Yeah.
There's a parable in the Bible, soil testing. We test the soil of people's hearts, and that's what I was even seeing, like with me asking you questions, like if there's hunger there, if there's any desire to know more. But you're always probing the spaces and seeing.
I want to know what's true.
Yeah.
Like if what you're believing is true, I want to know about it. That's why I love chatting
Then
with
I
you.
gotta be a little skeptical about you because you are a skeptic. So it's just like you're always gonna be asking more and more questions. But
Oh yeah. Like if you call me up in 2 weeks and like, Anthony, dude, we've got to meet. I know exactly what it's going to take for you to believe in my God. I'm going to be there. Like I'll hear you out.
Yeah, I like to work with the people a little bit. So if they want to, that's the whole point. Is like, do you want to know more? That was gonna be like one of my last questions. But do you like specifically about the Bible? Because I know it's atheist to all gods, but is there interest? I mean, you probably studied the Bible quite a bit through your time of being in America and just this culture, this society. But any more interested in learning more? You probably had tons of people ask you and tons of people tell you things.
To be perfectly blunt with you, I have really no interest in reading the Bible anymore until it could be demonstrated to be true. I'm not going to take the book on faith, which is what I get from a lot of people. Right here in this very spot, I was chatting with a guy who's a leader of an on-campus group who advised me, right here, dude, like 2 months ago, Anthony, all you need to do, just for 30 to 60 days, just believe it. Just believe it. Go through do an experiment. And then at the end of the 60 days, decide. I can't force myself to believe something.
Yeah.
And I can't take a book on faith.
Yeah.
So me spending 20 hours with you to learn
Just
the Bible really is not...
just intellectual information.
I'm willing to do that, but you need to demonstrate to me that it's really true.
It's true. It's just,
And I can't take the book's word for it that it's true.
Yeah.
You know,
Like,
you see my dilemma?
No, I understand where skeptics come from. Like, I'm receiving this data, but how can I trust the source? You know?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, exactly. Let me ask you a question. Were you familiar in any way with the work that I've been doing out here prior to us talking the first time?
I was not, like I said, I kind of saw it. I was talking with the SSA guys a little bit. I saw you kind of, you talked about, I think you were talking with one of them, like a conversation you were having, and then I'd heard you say something about, something about deeper thinking. So I had a very good idea about what you're doing. I saw the GoPro. I was like, okay, I guess he's interviewing people, asking deeper questions. So I saw it, I was like, okay, let's see it for myself. Let's go through the process myself.
And you just came up to me that day?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh.
But yeah, I saw you. I saw the same get up, and I was like, okay. So I was like, okay, I feel
get up. I like that.
With SSA.
That's awesome.
Because again, like that's my get to know SSA people is when they have ask an atheist a question day.
I wish they did it more often than once a year.
Yeah, it's once a year. So
they should honestly do that every time they table.
Yeah, that would be fun.
I'm going to be speaking to their group the start of the next semester.
What are you going to be speaking on?
This.
Oh, okay.
This technique.
Oh, just like asking questions and
this technique that you're seeing of Socratic questioning to uncover the truth.
Yeah.
And I'll probably show a video or two of encounters that I would dub successful, where a person really thought about it and came to the conclusion that they did not have a good reason for holding the belief.
A lot of people, that's just going to scare them. When you get deeper into it, like it's
scare who?
Or just certain people just that have not thought that deeply. Any person has not thought that deeply.
What would be the worst thing that would happen to you if you really thought about our talks, watched a few of my videos, came to my lecture, and 6 months from now you abandon your belief? You can no longer hold it because you realize you did not have sufficient evidence, and you realize that faith was unreliable.
A little tough, on staff with the ministry. That would change my entire life.
Your career is based on this belief, is it not?
Career is based on the belief. It would change a lot how I live. That would lead to a lot of how do I even live life now? That would be really tough. I would lose a lot of hope in what I've placed everything in. Just everything and how it operates. Because again, for me, I would lose my mission in life because my mission became my career of just advancing this mission. And I wouldn't know what my purpose could be at that point.
Would you need to have another purpose
absolutely
planned out before you made the decision, or would the decision come first? The decision to abandon the belief, to discard it?
Come first. I feel like you'd have to cut the ties, and you have to be now what? What would be the mission? But if I couldn't find a new mission, it'd be probably almost suicidal. That'd be a little tough because what's the purpose? I don't think it'd be suicidal, but I'd kind of just aimlessly go about now what? And there'd have to be something to bring me in.
Can I buy a book for you?
What book is it?
It's called Hope After Faith, and it's written by a guy named Jerry DeWitt. He was a Pentecostal preacher in Louisiana. Hardcore. Believed it just like you believe it now. And he had a few events in his life where he realized, I can't continue holding the belief. What do I do now? Yeah. And it's a beautiful story about how it's a struggle. So it's sad to see it. But the way that he explains it is wonderful, and how he actually finds community. And he's doing some amazing things now in the agnostic, atheist, skeptical community, where he's found a place to land and a community to support him. Yeah. So
I was at this stage, that would be a waste of money, because unless I was in that room where I was really doubting and some of the things were really starting to pack a punch, that'd be helpful. But that's just totally counterintuitive where I'm advancing with my life.
Okay, I understand. Yeah. That's cool. If you ever reach that point,
I know I got an email.
Email me.
I know the guy to talk to. And even how you do your interviews, that's how I even want to do my evangelism, is a lot of bringing out. So that's good to know. I have a term to it, Socratic method. I was saying presuppositional apologetics. That's how I was kind of phrasing what I like to bring, is having people uncover their worldviews.
What I'm doing, to be perfectly honest, is the complete opposite of presuppositional apologetics.
Really? Wrong term then.
Presup apologetics assert that something's true. Here's a presup in my mind. I might be mistaken. There might be people that are screaming at me now, but a presuppositionalist asserts that I know something to be true. And not only do I know it, you know it too. You're just unwilling to admit it. And they presuppose that a God exists. What I'm doing is trying to be as neutral as possible and saying, what do you believe? Why do you believe it? And is it reliable? And if you recall, maybe from the first, there was a little bit more of me telling you what I think because you were asking me now, but my approach in our first talk primarily, and then in any of the videos that you'll watch me talking with people, I will ask questions. I'll ask question after question after question, but give appropriate time for people to think about it.
Yeah.
That is the complete opposite of presuppositionalism.
I get why it's trying to bring like a conviction, like you know this to be true. And
the term that I'd like you to research, if you could, it's called street epistemology.
Okay.
It's a mouthful. And if you don't remember, just email me. And
I remember that. I've seen that term.
Google it if you can. And I think it would be fabulous if believers use that method when talking with other believers or even non-believers. Because
street epistemology.
Is
it just simply like you're saying, like Socratic method? It's just a lot of asking questions very neutrally, or is it different from what you were previously saying?
The techniques vary from person to person, but it's based on a book called A Manual for Creating Atheists.
But just like asking those deep questions, like it'll lead.
If you keep asking questions, more than likely, unless somebody has a really good reason for holding the belief, they may eventually discover that it's not reliable. The methods they used are not reliable, and they discard the belief, and hence the atheist side of it. However, street epistemology is a quest for the truth. So if you I remember at the very start, you're like, I'm so confident that what I'm believing is true, I'll bring other people who I'm trying to get to believe what I believe to all these different events, because I know that my beliefs can stand on their own merit. If you really have that position, I think it would be wonderful if you use this technique when you start talking to people, and encourage them to ask you those same questions in return. But I would love to see you at my presentation, and we don't have a date firmed up yet.
Okay.
But if
that would be just helpful for everyone. It's like, because I see it's like how to be a better question asker. I see that's how the general theme I can get out of it. That can be helpful.
Absolutely.
Build some new relationships, get to know some more people, see their stories. I was saying, like, Ask an Atheist Day is like basically hear an atheist's testimony, like what happened.
Part of my goal in talking to the SSA is to give them these tools so that. And I've seen them engage with believers, and it's usually contentious. They're debating. And did we debate at all?
I don't think we did. No.
Did you enjoy the talk?
Yeah, because I was enjoying. Like, I knew based on how you presented yourself initially that you were just going to straight up ask questions, and like you're hoping to get me to a certain point. If it led that way, if the questions really did hit, but I knew it was going to be civil.
I know that you. There's no way that you're going to abandon your career and suddenly become like Jerry DeWitt and join the atheist movement or anything, but. Based on what we talked about, and I know that you started off with faith, and now we're basing it on evidence. Has your confidence in the existence of your God changed in any way since we first talked?
No, it's actually pretty much neutral. I think it's pretty much the same.
Okay.
I would need more detailed, other explanations to really kind of hit the points. Because I think honestly, some of the points just kind of flew past me a little bit.
Oh, really? Okay.
Maybe some of them, but
would you be interested?
I was tracking, like that's what I say. Like I have a strong belief that I was tracking most of the time. But I'm hoping I was.
Do you think that watching the 2 videos now of us engaging with each other would be beneficial or harmful to you?
I think just harmful because it'd just be a waste of time. I don't think I'd get much out of it seeing the interviews that I placed.
Why would you say that?
I don't know. I don't feel like...
You're not going to hurt my feelings. Just be totally blunt.
I just feel like through what I was processing, I don't feel like I was really processing through much. I was just trying to process like how to answer the questions. That was more what I was doing. I don't feel like I left this really wrestling with anything. That's the thing. So I think through asking so much like understanding questions, it was basically me just kind of answering like with you trying to figure out what I believed in through certain systems of thought. But I guess I didn't need more kind of, like the debate kind of topics do kind of that's kind of stuff I will wrestle with. But it was a good time to kind of understand each time. Yeah.
Okay.
Because even though they're tense and they're tough, but it's good to start off understanding where we're at and then come to a point of... Cause that's what I wanted to even end with too, is like my greatest point for evidence, just like see where you landed with the empty tomb theory, like what your thought was. And I was going to ask you about the historical Jesus, but just kind of hear your thought, but just simply just kind of hear the thoughts, hear the view. Because again, like there's no point for me to debate you if there's no hunger to know more about the Bible. But again, it helps sharpen my thoughts if someone is hungry about the Bible. So again, that's what I get out of these conversations is I do enjoy hearing the different points of view.
Yeah.
Even if someone's not hungry, because if someone is hungry, I can help them later. I can better serve them from what a skeptic thought, their points of view, their evidences behind that belief versus my evidences. Because I'm just trying to help in the hungry. I'm trying to help in the people that are getting drawn in a sense. But
are you saying that you think that there's a greater chance that you would lower your position in the confidence of your belief if I was more aggressive and confrontational in debating with you?
I don't think so. I think it'd be the validity of your points. I think that would, like the way you present them is irrelevant. If you did it more aggressively, I'd less hear you, but just the points you're making, that's what's going to stand the test of time. But even if it's done in an aggressive manner, if it's a valid point, it still can kind of shine through once the emotions fade away.
I'm not trying to make any points.
Yeah.
I'm trying to ask questions and have you discover those points for yourself.
Yeah.
Some of my questioning might be a tad leading. Like, I'm sort of in the position that I don't think faith is reliable. So my questions might kind of slant that way.
Yeah.
But I really do try to be neutral on it. Because if it is reliable, then you might have a firmer footing for your belief. So, well, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Was that your timer going off? Did we hit our 10
that was
minutes
like, that's the 10-minute warning, so it's kind of like finish up.
Yeah, I should probably get going too. So,
but that would be helpful, just that one last question, because I feel it's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Have a stance. So you didn't bring it up, I did, but the point, like, where do you land on the historical Jesus point? Do you even believe there's a historical Jesus? Do you not? That'd be helpful for me to know your
I'm
thoughts.
kind of at the 50-50 on that. But even if Jesus existed, in my mind, it wouldn't mean that all the supernatural stuff was really true.
Oh yeah, that fits, like, that's the historical Jesus point of view. It's like, he was a man, he was a religious leader, did some good things, but he wasn't doing this kind of stuff,
Well,
But do you believe that he was crucified, though? Do you believe that actually happened?
I have no idea. I kind of get the sense, based on some of the reading that I've done, that this idea of Jesus is probably an amalgam. It's a mixture of probably several people that had...
Kind of like a Shakespeare kind of thing, or?
I don't know much about that.
Well, there's a theory that he was like these certain like knights. And
really? And they were different authors and stuff?
And they had the pseudonym of, like, they all, like, Shakespeare wrote this, but remember I had a theater arts professor that she wrote a research paper for her graduate about the possibility that there wasn't, like, a Shakespeare man.
Okay.
But were you making that same comparison, or?
I think so.
Oh, okay.
I have to research what you're saying, but it sounds similar. Like, I think there were probably many people that claimed to be a savior, and they did some interesting things, and then over time...
I've never heard that one. That's interesting.
That would be sort of some of the things that I've read. But I think when it comes down to it, whether or not men or a man existed who was a Jesus... And let's say there's historical backing that shows that there was a man that did this. Doesn't mean that all the supernatural stuff is true. That, for me, would require that leap.
So at this point, like, there has to be belief in the testimony that was happening.
And you base it off of evidence, it sounds like now, and not faith.
Yeah, the evidence of the testimony that was given, because what other means can we figure out, like, what this guy was actually doing, the historical account, in a sense. Yeah.
Well, maybe we can meet a third time and shift gears and focus a little bit more on the evidence that you believe bolsters your confidence.
I mean, again, like, no, that's fine. Like, yeah, I was down for it again, but it's more about, like, I wanted to come to a point where, like, to help you on your journey if there was, but that's how I feel like I can help people, is like giving a point of view and trying to push it, teach the Bible and just the hunger there.
If you have a good way of demonstrating that it's true.
Like, I don't think I'm the type of guy that would help you, like, would be the most help for you. I'm more for, like, the baby thinker kind of, like, student.
Why not, though? I mean, you're a preacher, pastor, right?
Haven't gone to seminary, but I am just simply part of this parachurch ministry, the Navigators, as a missionary to college students.
Okay. So if you do hit that point in your life where you have a good justification for holding it, and you think it would be convincing to a skeptic?
Yeah. Basically, if I got, like, an apologetics degree, then I'd be like, okay, let's talk.
You know what, though?
I got a little bit more foundation for you.
I don't mind. I'm not interested in debating your apologetics.
Yeah. No, but I feel like the apologetic, they give me more evidences for what you're looking for.
Okay.
Not like,
Okay.
here's some like things to persuade you. It's more like, here's the proofs you're kind of looking for, kind of things to do that. But I feel like that I can't help you in this season of life. But that's what I'm saying is like, I feel like we're at different angles, and I'm more like trying to find people, especially on my campus time, that I can help in their journey. But again, it was helpful that you got to hear where I'm at, and get that we process through a few
I understand
things.
time is valuable, and you need to, direct your time where you think it's best served.
But again, it's cool. We got to hear each other's journeys. That's the end of it. I really want to just the big reason. I just want to see your motivations behind it.
Yeah.
What you've been learning, what conviction you have. That's really what I wanted to see.
Sure.
Just another relationship forum. I'll see you around. And again, like email about the Socratic method. Like that'll help me as an evangelist to better serve people. And again, it'll refine my thinking too about conclusions I've come to.
I'd like to see you come to my talk.
Yeah,
if
that's
you
what
can.
I'm saying. The talk, because I feel the more I get to marinate, the more some of the things we're talking about. So again, I feel like I'm just like getting barely into it. I'm not like this apologetic type by nature. I'm kind of like trying to just put it in my repertoire. So kind of like this thinker type. But the more I kind of think through these things, the more I just hear information, get taught things, I think I'll slowly get around to it. But I think going to your talk would be a little part of the process to do that. Because again, all the methods to better serve people, to better understand where they're coming from, I think that'd be very helpful.
Awesome.
Again, this talk, I think this is a good thing. This would be great for me. But again, like I don't think I can help you where you're at. But hey, say I do get like a seminary degree, maybe at that point I could help you a little bit. But yeah, let's just keep in touch, and
please do.
Yeah, I'm excited about the more people get to talk with, and who knows what'll happen.
I hope to see you around.
Absolutely.
Okay.
See you, Anthony.
Take it easy. Bye-bye.